All right, welcome in to the Bullring Banter podcast, all about the Ararat BullRing in Ararat, Virginia. This is episode number 13, lucky 13. We have just celebrated July 4th with a big night at the Ararat BullRing. A lot of fans, a lot of cars, a lot of action, a lot of everything. Tonight's episode, or today's episode, or whenever you're listening to this, I guess we're recording in daytime. I don't know why I said tonight, but this episode is sponsored by Buffalo Mountain Motorsports, which is not just a race team, it's a car dealer, power sports, ATVs, side-by-sides, dirt bikes, accessories, and our late model division sponsor. Be sure to support them if you can. Also brought to you by TC Construction. They work in the cell tower industry. Not much you can probably buy from them, but big sponsors of the track, also title sponsor of the modified division. And Andrew's Mowing and Landscaping is also a sponsor here on the Bullring Banter podcast. Of course, you could get them to mow your yard or landscape, do some different landscaping, different stuff. But hit them up if you need them. They're down in Pinnacle, North Carolina. Well, I'm Langley Austin. I'm your host of the Bullring Banter podcast. Alongside of me here in what is a hot studio today is my wife, Kimberly, who is also the race director, sometimes scorer, sometimes, whatever we need her to do. We're going to put her on the flag stand one week so she can score from out there. We're going to run her some extension cords, put her out there, so she can do it all at one time,
Well, at least you're not going to throw me out there with a piece of paper and a pen. I could just throw me out there with my computer, and I think I'd be all right.
You'd be all right. Hand scoring, trying to flag at the same time. You'd be okay.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. We got a great flagman in Jay Altizer, so we don't have to worry about that. So,
and we work absolutely wonderful together, week in and week out.
Yep, we had a great team of people this past weekend, too. I wanted to say that before we get started. Had some extra people on the team. Everybody worked together really good. Parking went really well. We had 72 total entries. That's a lot for the old BullRing. I mean, I know, I've heard other people talk about how many cars they've had there, and, I don't know where the heck they put them, or they went with smaller trailers or whatever it was, but 72 pretty much packed it out, and we even used the neighbor's field coming in there just to make sure that we had enough space. Had to put one trailer out there
Looked like
for a late arrival.
Packed can of sardines in there, man.
It was tight.
I didn't see it all day long. Like, I literally was in the tower, getting scoring ready, getting everything else ready. When I come down at the end of the night, which a lot of teams had already left.
Yeah.
I'm looking around and I'm like, holy crap, I couldn't imagine what this looked like earlier.
Yeah. Oh, man, and it's, luckily we did the team did a much better job of getting things parked because, it allowed the, lanes to be open, and it worked out really good. I was really proud of, our team and everything that we did this weekend from sign in to the, front gate to, scoring and race directing, and, you had some help there in scoring, from Nick Roberts. And
I can't give him enough kudos to helping me out this weekend. Yeah. It made literally the whole night go as smooth as possible while learning more about Race Pass. He had sent me a message Thursday. He's like, hey, do you need some help tomorrow? I'm like, well, now that you mentioned it, actually, you want to score for me and I'll shadow you?
Yeah.
Which freed me up to be I felt much more confident on the radio.
Yeah.
Much more confident making calls.
Yeah.
It was a smooth night considering it. I mean, it looked chaotic, all the fans coming in, the parking.
Well, it was chaotic on the racetrack, and we knew it would be. But I'll be honest with you, the division with the most cars, the stock fours, they had 29 cars. They were not that chaotic.
No.
They were very calm, and they did a great job getting their 35-lap race in a decent amount of time.
Half of their cautions, and this is literally, it takes me a day or two to decompress, and of course I had a big race Saturday at Franklin County Speedway to score as well.
Yep.
We'll get into that tomorrow night on the Pit Chatter podcast.
Yep.
But it was amazing.
Yeah.
Most of the cautions from the stock 4 race, and I'm not even joking, was debris cautions.
Oh yeah.
Just stuff pieces and bumpers and everything just flying off.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of that maybe we can do a better job of recognizing stuff that may fall off, and getting that taken care of before that happens. But
it made for good racing. You would watch them go down in 3 and 4, and you'd see bumpers and pieces just flying, and I'm like, oh my gosh!
All the fans were absolutely into it. They were into everything that happened that night. Really good turnout in the grandstands.
We have very animated fans, and I love it. So. Sitting in the tower in my little heat box over there, I only have box fans, so I get to hear everything the fans do. Yeah. You hear them whooping and woeing, and it's just amazing to listen to in the tower.
And the thing about it is, I know in the tower you don't really get to experience that much of it, but I go out into the grandstand some, or in behind the grandstands, and the atmosphere is electric. And it's electric every race. But it was really electric on Friday night.
That's awesome.
But they had a lot to cheer about, a lot to take in. We'll start off with the Pro 4 division. Danny Henning, picking up another win. But this time he had to battle for it.
He didn't just run away with it.
No.
Luke Golding really gave him a run for his money this week.
He did. He got the best of him on a restart and led some laps, I believe, until the next restart. Of course, Danny coming home with the win, going to take that bounty on up to $1,000. So Pro 4 guys better, strap in and strap on and come on.
And I have to give a kudos to Danny Henning and his team. They put up $20 for the bike race.
Yep.
During the week they messaged me, hey, we'd just like to, give to the bike race. And I think that's so awesome. We have people wanting to be involved.
Yep. For sure.
From Henning donating to the bike race, and we had Riley Page Racing, which was John Coe. He donated to the bike racers.
Yep. And then all the bonuses and awards and
all
things
the
that we had
bonuses
last
and
week,
awards, and
which we've got more this week.
Gosh.
So I got to get them out there pretty
trying
quickly.
to remember that on payout sheets is a little tough sometimes.
It is, and I got to do a better job of helping you in that department.
But one more thing before we move on, talking about the racers wanting to give and help, I have to throw a hands down to Nathan Walker's daughters, donating candy. Brandy Langford with Langford Racing, Andrew Langford Racing, donating stuff for the July 4th bags. Yep. And the spray foam guy, I can't remember.
Yep. Drew Wright from Mayberry Spray Foam Installation.
Drew Wright, donating the light sticks.
Yep.
It was...
And you should have seen the chaos out there when Bo took them out there and threw them out. And, they're just scrambling.
And, I read on Facebook, he's like, I'm sorry to the spotters that use.
Oh, no, that was fantastic. Mess them up. Mess them up. They don't need to be using those stupid sticks anyways.
But, the drivers, the racing people has really come together, wanting to donate and get more involved in the kids. And I couldn't be more thankful for it.
Yep. Nope, I would agree 100% for sure. Great race in the Pro 4s. The Pro 4s, a couple of the races have been kind of lackluster, but this one was not one that was for sure.
And we had a good car count. We had double digits.
Yep. I'm trying to scroll on the screen here to get to that, but we had 11 cars. We had 11 cars there, and Danny Henning taking the win. Luke Golding grabbing second place. Dylan Warden third. Billy Klein fourth. And Wayne Kendrick come home fifth. Austin Willard, who'd been trying to race with us in Renegade Sportsman, been struggling with that. I think that thing's a T-Bird. I'm not sure what it is. A cool-looking car.
It's cool.
But he brought his Pro 4 out this time. He ended up in the sixth spot. Good turnout in that division for sure.
And Greg Golding made it back after blowing up the last race.
Yep.
I was just really happy to see all our guys back. The Pro 4s are one of my favorite divisions. So.
Yep. And I think they're going to get even better. $1,000 on the line. So, you can win $1,300 if you can beat Danny Henning this Saturday at the Ararat BullRing. So we'll see what happens there.
He's got a huge X on the back of that car right now.
For sure. But, the thing about it is it's got to be clean. He has to be running. You're not going to get that money if you do it the wrong way. So you're wasting your time. Man, the Crown Vics always put on a good show. they weren't quite as wild this week as they normally are. They were 10 cars strong. Was hoping for some more for the 1,000 to win, but this class is still building. And I've learned that money runs away some of the guys who race in the back of the half of the field. It'll run those guys away, and if you don't pick up enough, other guys, then you don't have that big of a field. And we just ain't ready. We're just not ready for that class to have big money on the line and have big car counts yet. But we're getting there, but it didn't matter.
I was really missing some of my regular guys. I ain't gonna lie.
Yep.
There was Anthony Nix didn't make it. Hester didn't make it.
Yep.
And where in the world has Rob Favor been?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's Buffalo Mountain Motorsports himself, and he's done missed like the last 3 races, I think.
Yeah,
and
he was on vacation one, and I don't know where in the world he's done disappeared to.
Yeah. We got to get him. We got to get him back to the track, get him back there in his late model and his Crown Vic. So.
But I do have to give a huge shout out to Brad Holt for keeping it together for a whole race.
Yep.
Not being magnetically drawn to the wall.
Right.
He actually, he was really fast in practice. He did great in the heat, hot laps, heat races. He had a good night, and I'm happy, to see our regulars. That race was a barn burner. They weren't as crazy as they usually are, but we had I don't think he's a regular. The guy that was leading towards the end of the race. What was his name?
Charlie Meinders. No,
Charlie Meinders.
He wins everywhere. So he's really good.
And some might not like what I'm getting ready to say. When we have bonuses and big races, and I always root for our guys.
Well, sure, you always want the hometown guy to win, but
at the same time, hey,
when you get them big names in there,
you come to win that money.
That's right.
So Justin Pruitt taking home the win was really exciting for me. Just watching one of our guys take it.
Yeah.
But he had to work for it.
He did.
I mean, they didn't just take it.
That last restart, he got the best of Meinders there, and Charlie tried to put it back on him a couple times, just never could. And I got to give a big kudos to Charlie Meinders, because he could have been a little,
rougher, more rough.
Yeah, he could have done some things, but he chose to just race it out, and he was a true sportsman all the way to the end of the race, even after the race, congratulating Justin Pruitt on winning. And I'm not sure if I was in that position, I'd have been wanting to congratulate him.
That's awesome.
Justin kind of used him up a little bit on the restart, and
that's awesome sportsmanship.
It is,
you don't
sure.
get that in every division.
Yep. But Justin Pruitt got the win. Charlie Meinders finished in second. Thomas Hensley making his first start. He raced with us in Chargers at our Super Street at Franklin County.
It was so awesome to see him.
So it's good to see him there.
He comes to the tower, and it looked like he lost a little bit of weight, but I was like, this guy looks so familiar.
Yeah.
He pulls his sunglasses off. I said, I thought that was you.
Yep. Brad Holt coming home in fourth. Madeline Stamper, great run by her. She keeps getting better every race. She finished fifth. 10 cars strong. I don't know where
Anthony Nix.
Yeah, well, like Adam Piercy won last week.
Yeah.
He was a guy. I don't know why he didn't come back for the $1,000. But
in all fairness, he did get engaged this weekend, so congratulations to them.
Listen, you got to have your priorities right. It's racing before anything else. Okay,
no,
I'm just telling you.
That's your priorities.
Oh, is that the way it works? Okay. Moving on to the TC Construction Modifieds, and TC took home the win. Travis Covey taking home his first win in the Modifieds. Epic battle between the top 3 or 4 guys there.
If I heard right, that was his first win ever?
I think so. I believe that's what the guys told me there in the tower. I
am so excited for him. Watching, we did hot laps, and then we did heat races. And no, we didn't we qualified them. Sorry. The night's still running together. He got lucky on qualifying. He was the last car.
I don't know that it really mattered. I mean, if he had another car out there, it wouldn't have made any difference. That's not.
He was just on fire all day.
He was. He was really good.
Fast all day long.
He was really good. He had to hold off Chris Stowe in that race. Chris Stowe was there. He had a modified and a late model, and that ran good in both of them. First time there that he's been there this year. But man, I tell you what, in another one, Randy Paff, however you say his name.
I think it's Paff. I think.
Yeah, we're gonna go with whatever there.
Stellar run.
He'll correct me if I'm wrong. But he had a great run. Took the lead there for just a moment, and then him and Chris Stowe. I don't. You watch the video. There's been some. Well, did he make contact? Did he not make contact? I think he made minimal contact. But that's all it takes in those things. You're in that corner, you're in the center, man, just a little bit of contact, you go around. I don't think it was anything intentional. I don't think it was a really big deal. I mean, it sucked for Randy, and I mean, I'm sure he was not happy about it. He ended up finishing 6th, which is not where he wanted to finish.
He's very not
to
happy
finish.
about it.
But, so Travis Covey took home the win. Christo 2nd. Jordan Fegter. That's a hard one. Seth Gooden finishing 4th, and Charles Freeman coming home 5th.
Good run for those two guys.
Yep.
Supports us. The good run for them. And I really like Seth Gooden.
And my traffic director from a couple of races ago, Keith Wagner, was back. Glad to see him back there. I'm glad I didn't run him away on the receiver. So
hey, we did not have you on the receiver or the radio.
It was great.
It was a great night.
Somebody told me at one point, that said, hey, man, you need to go in there and do this. I said, man, they fired me. And I just pretended like I was a whipped puppy and walked off. And they didn't know what to say at that point.
Yeah, no, we don't. We racers are boycotting Langley Austin on the radios.
Oh, my God. I'm going to be back on there this week.
No, we're not.
So I'm going to see if Jason Walls will let me do the Mid-East modified race for him.
I mean, he's just as fiery as you are. He come to Race Direct and help me out, getting my feet wet and watching him and, they're beating and banging, and he's like, well, you got to let them work that out on their own. I'm like, right. All right, that's what we're going to do.
That is right. The Buffalo Mountain Motorsports late models, 13 cars strong again, man. I think 13's the least we've had. I think we've had that twice. 18, I think, is the most we've had. We've had that once. Been strong, through 5 races now.
Can we just pause for a
really
second?
Good.
And go back to the modifieds for just a second, and then I promise we'll move on. Levi.
Yeah, you just take over the show here.
Well,
just get it done.
I'm getting better on the radio, you got to admit. Levi Woodcock actually had a good race. He finished.
He'd been really struggling.
He had been really struggling, and I just got to, say good job, man.
Yep. And he missed the last race because of work.
Yeah.
And he'd been really struggling, but they've been putting in some work. So yeah, that was a good catch there.
Okay,
good
back
catch.
to late models.
All right, man. Brandon Adkins went out and sat on the pole, and then he wasn't on the pole no more. He got disqualified for an illegal tire on the right rear. I think they were just trying to see what they could get away with. He didn't need it, though. I mean, dude goes back out there in the feature, drives all the way from, 13th place starting position, and on the last lap took the win away in a wild fashion from Tanner Wilson, who, and I got to give Tanner Wilson all the credit in the world. If my memory serves me, and he may correct me if I'm wrong, my memory serves me 3 races ago, he was like getting lapped and wasn't running that great. Or at least he was not in the front of the field. And then the last race, he come out there and he was up front, top 3 the whole race. And then this race, I mean, he got the lead once, had another issue that we'll talk about here in a second. And he put on a good show. He's been running good everywhere he goes. So kudos to him. He ended up second. Brandon Adkins taking the win in that wild finish.
Well, I talked to him after the race at Payout, and he said, these boys would really be embarrassed to know what I have.
Yeah.
His car was submerged in water. They literally pulled it out. So he's like, I don't have what all these other guys have.
Yeah, well, every racer's got a story, and I
love them all.
They're all good. They're all good, whether they're true or not. But Bailey Curry, who's a NASCAR Truck Series driver, he was there. He finished 3rd in the Nice Motorsports entry. Man, that car, if you've seen it, I mean, that thing was all launched up, like a super late model. Unlike the rest of those guys, that was cool to see. Joel Bray made his first start of the season. He come home in 4th, and of course picked up the $50 bonus from local short track drama and news,
which was awesome. I got to meet him this weekend.
Yep.
Really good dude.
I
mean, he is putting in the work.
Chris Stowe coming home in the 5th position, and then Wayne Quisenberry ended up 6th. But man, he was not too good after the race. He is better. I talked to him Saturday, through Messenger, and he was feeling a whole lot better. But I think he got his bell rung there a little bit in the finish when Brandon Adkins was still sitting on the track and he come through. And I don't know if he couldn't hear on receiver because it was like everybody else was slowing down and he just didn't. I think he just didn't get that.
Well, we had actually he came and talked to me after the race as well. I love that our racers will come and talk to me, and I encourage. If you have any criticism, constructive, you just want to bitch at me, whatever, just come talk to me. he asked me, because apparently he had ran Friendship.
Yep.
And he said, are you using the radio as a handheld, or are you using a headset? And I said, why do you ask? I just giggle. And he's like, because you're intermittently cutting out.
Yeah.
So this next race, I'm going to try to fix that. I'm going to use a headset. So hopefully if there are any issues going on with you guys, I'm going to try to fix it by using the headset.
Right. Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be really good. But glad to see that he was okay after a hard hit there. Hopefully he'll be able to get his car back together. I think he needs a front clip, so might need some work there. But Gary Mabe, I want to give a shout out to him. He had a much better night. He
struggled.
Really had the worst of everything. Most of these races, the old gut rocket had been struggling, and so he come home in 7th. And I got to give, before we get to what happened with Nathan Walker, because he was the fastest car in the feature race early on.
He was really fast
and,
all day.
But before I say that, all these guys. So, I held the late models out after the drivers' meeting, and I gave them a little pep talk, and I told them, look, guys, you are the premier division, and I need you to start racing like it, because so far this season, you've had great racing, but at times it's been a clown show of guys just spinning out. Well, we didn't have that this race.
Apparently
they did a much better job.
You were a little fiery in the drivers' meeting.
I'm fiery at all times. I was not fiery at all day, though. So let's just be clear. But I had some messages to deliver in the driver's meeting, and I delivered them, and we ain't even going to talk about the driver's meeting. If you were there, you got it, and if you weren't, well, you didn't need to be.
I'm glad I missed it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah. But speaking of Nathan Walker, him and Ronnie Covey tangled. Ronnie was getting lapped, and they tangled on the front straightaway. I seen Travis Covey's response on Facebook about something being broke on the car, and that there was no way it was intentional, and whatever. I'm sure it doesn't make Nathan feel any better. But
that was awesome.
Took him out of winning. He got up on the side of his car and showed his displeasure. With some double birds.
I thought he was giving him a lap count. I didn't. I mean, it was awesome.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. So, but a great night overall. Our guy who almost won the last race, Andrew Langford, he didn't even get to start. He'd been overheating. He said he had an overheating problem in the last race too. So he didn't even get to start.
Me as the race director, I should know these things. But I'm going through, and the night's over, and I was like, where was Andrew at tonight? Yeah. I'm like, he wasn't even, what in the world?
Yeah. Yep. So, talked about the stock fours earlier, 29 cars. Man, they showed up and they showed out. They were the feature division, and they raced like one for the night. Scott Cloninger from Blacksburg, South Carolina, ended up taking home the $2,000 to win.
And, man, that was a beautiful car.
But not... he may have won anyways. I'm not, saying that he only won because these other guys got taken out. But Chris Meadows, the guy who, runs the SEHA, the Southeast Hornet Association, he broke while leading the race early. And then TJ Smith, local guy, races with us in Franklin County and races with us now. He had his car on a rails, and he was working to get by the 3C of Scott Cloninger. Went to the high side of a lap car, and that was the wrong decision. Ended up in the wall and tore up.
I'm really wondering if it was TJ in that car, because I've watched TJ for a long time. Yeah. And he was on fire.
He was. That was
that was his run of his life.
He was. He had the run of his life, but it ended short. It ended a little short of
it did.
What he
and
wanted
I hated
there.
It.
Stephen Herring come home second in the stock 4 feature. He was getting on with it. He was very aggressive and tried to make some things happen. He just wasn't able to. Travis Langford. In the Flintstone Flyer tribute car,
awesome
which was cool as crap.
Awesome car.
He come home third. Bentley Cottle, who is 14 years old, I believe, came home fourth, and Will Hollister came home in fifth, and he's a regular at With Raceway. I'll run through a few more of these. Daniel Wright finished sixth. Daniel Tate finished seventh. Jonathan Sullivan, he had him a good run after catching on fire the last race.
And so he said he wasn't even coming to the big race. Yep, I just don't think. And his son won the juice box race.
He did. Yep. Again and again and again.
Now I tell you, his son may be 4, 5. He's real little.
Yeah.
But by God, he doesn't care about anything else in that juice box race but coming to get that winner's decal.
He does. He's all about his winner sticker for sure, and he's definitely got more than Dad. So that's all I can say. John Leopard, who we had a little issue with getting out of his car. A couple races ago, he had a good run. I think I pissed him off, and I wasn't intending to. Like he was at sign in, and I just happened to be there, and I just said, "Hey man, you the driver?" Yep. Yeah, we don't get out of our car. He said, well, yeah, I heard. I said, yeah, we don't do that. Well, we didn't say nothing to the driver for me. And I said, that should be common sense. And it should be. And there should be at no point in time should you be out of your car while cars are racing in the middle of the track where there's no protection. And this ain't for him. This is for everybody, okay? That is just crazy, and that shouldn't. I shouldn't need to say that in a driver's meeting.
I mean,
that should be. You should just go. You know what? I probably shouldn't get out of my car.
Gary Mabe's been racing for 155 years, and he did it the first race.
I know. Well, at least he did it under caution. I feel a little bit better about him doing it. Danny Tate come home 10th. Nate Young, guy's been racing with us out of Rocky Mount. He was 11th. Chase Leighton Chase. Whew. I mess that up every time. Dude's got two first names, 2 last names, whatever you want to say. He finished 12th.
Kudos to him. I mean, first race ever. I mean, he's a true rookie. 14 years old. I mean, he stayed out of the way. He stayed out of all the carnage.
Yep.
I mean, good job, buddy. Good job.
A couple of guys who I think everybody probably thought was going to be competitive for the win. Austin Williams, who had won 2 races in a row leading into this, he had some sort of fuel pickup problem.
He initially thought he blew up.
Yeah. I think he found out that it was the fuel pump that was brand new that was just bad. Which he's actually calling me on the phone at the moment while I'm recording. So I'll call him back here in a few. But he ended up 17th out of the race. And then another one that many people, obviously thought was going to compete for the win, Wes Givens, who's been winning everything dirt and asphalt up here in Virginia so far this year.
Everywhere.
He probably shouldn't even have came. He showed up late. He ended up having to park out in the field. Started dead last in his heat race. Now, he did make some passes and made some things happen there.
Still didn't win the heat race, though.
No, well, that was going to be a tall task.
That was a good one.
That was a field. This field right here was impressive. He blew up, and he had blown up the week before at Natural Bridge, or 2 weeks before, whatever, at Natural Bridge. Had just got the motor back in this week, was working on a Crown Vic. That's why he was so late getting to the track. Ended up not being able to fix it. So he blew up. He ended up 24th in the finishing order.
And, Saturday night at Franklin County, he had his bad luck is catching up with him.
For sure.
He runs the G5. He blows up his car at Ararat Friday. Jumps in another car he's been working on at Franklin County. Something happens to it, so he has to jump into one of his competitors' cars to race.
Yep.
Doesn't win they run twins at Franklin County. Doesn't win the first one.
Yep.
But wins the second one.
Oh, and he had to drive for that.
And
but
he had to earn
that's
it.
a whole nother podcast
that's
to talk
tomorrow.
about that. So, anything else you got takeaways from that wild night? I mean, that was great. You know what I love about. And I may regret saying this one day, and I've said a lot of things good about these guys on dirt. Man, there were a lot of people mad at the end of the night. There were not a lot of people mad at the racetrack. And because these guys leave it where it is. You know what I mean? They leave the their frustration with the people that they should be leaving it with, and that's a different culture from these asphalt guys.
I was going to say
they can have. I mean, they could stub their toe walking down the pit road, and it's the track's fault, and they ain't never coming back. But these guys, and there might have been some people that said they wasn't never coming back, and there always is. They usually line up first to get in the next time, but these guys are aren't like that. For the most part.
Definitely, not our normal.
Not what we're used to, anyway.
They hold on to it. They talk about it for weeks.
Yeah.
But these guys, they're. It's like old time racing. It's like it's awesome. Like I can't tell you, it's been a stressful year at Ararat for me. Yeah. I'm not gonna say I have enjoyed every bit of it. But Friday night, I can honest to God say, was the first race. I enjoyed myself. It was hot. It was nasty. It was sticky. but man, it was fun.
It was good. Yeah, I've enjoyed myself every race, so I can't say that.
Well,
so.
I've had a lot going on. Never being race director.
Yep.
Doing receivers.
Yep.
Moving my race pass. I've had a big swing of things.
Very, very smooth week on receiver, though. Very smooth. We've finally got our crap together. We did get a cord, to have the flagman, looped in. There's a little something, it was kept coming apart or whatever, and so we'll try to, alleviate that.
But
going forward.
During the week, me and the flagman are going back and forth all week of how we can work better together, and I think it's really showing.
Yep.
Hands down, great weekend. I can't tell my racers enough. Thank you for listening to me.
Yeah. These guys do a great job, which, I guess they don't really have a choice. They ain't nobody else on there talking to them. They ain't got no other idiot spotter, like on asphalt telling them, to do dumb stuff. So, they do a great job.
I tell them lap cars, they all listen.
Yeah, well, hold on. Let's stop right there. They don't all listen.
Okay.
Let's tackle that because I've had a lot of people mention it. Lap cars, Ronnie Covey with Nathan Walker, taking him out. I don't think that was intentional, but it happened. I think there was a new guy, that Nathan Covert or whatever his name is. He got into TJ when they were battling for the lead, and new guy makes a mistake. It's going to happen. But we've really got to, the one thing these guys have got to work on is if you are a lap car, it ain't your night, and it might be your night some other time, and you don't want to be that guy.
No.
So try to stay out of the way.
I try to stress.
Yeah, but you can't tell them but so much.
Hold your line or move. I tell them. I don't tell them what to do.
Yeah.
I tell them, lead car's coming.
Yep.
Lead car's coming.
That's all you can tell them because you got to let them make their own decisions. But at some point or another, if we continue to have problems with this, we're going to have to take steps we don't want to take and do things that we don't want to do, and don't make us do it. You don't even have to ask what it is. Just don't make us do it at some point. And, on a good note, though, I know I've had a couple people ask me, say, man, all this money going out, when are we going to do something for the late models? Soon. I'll be honest with you. The way you guys were racing the first 4 races, I was afraid to put up money. We had 312 cautions in 4 races. I was afraid to put up any more money. Okay.
One of my flagsman's most famous words this year: we are going to finish this late model race if it takes it one lap at a time.
And it's been one lap at a time most of the year. They got their crap together. This past weekend.
We're not downing you guys.
No, they know that. Listen, they know what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's just been not so good. And we're 5 races in now. Maybe they've figured it out. So we're going to get you some money together and figure out, what we're going to do and
some of these
do
guys
something
are not seasoned racers.
No, there's a lot of newer guys and guys with a lesser experience and all of that. And that's fine. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you what I was impressed about this past weekend. Not just the car count in the late models, because I thought we was going to have 8 or 9. Because, these are the types of guys that go on vacation for the 4th. You know what I mean? These are the guys who have other plans for the 4th. Them lower division guys, they're eat up with racing. You know what I mean? Just slap. But apparently these guys are too. We got 13 of them. They are eat up with racing as well. And we're proud to have had 13 of those guys in the field.
Still missing a couple of our regulars.
Yep,
Sewell wasn't there.
Yep. I sent him a text message. He don't text me back. Maybe he'll listen to this and go, oh, let me check my text messages. So
Favor's been missing. There's still a couple that was missing, but overall, wonderful showing.
Yeah, Travis Larson wasn't there this past weekend. He's another one.
Well, he had let us know that he wasn't going to be there.
But, you get, these guys have been flowing in and out. There's only been 5 or 6 really regulars, and then everybody else has been new or, coming in and out or whatever, which I think is great. I'm proud of, what we've been able to do car count-wise in just about every division, and, we're continuing to work on it. One thing I do want to tackle, I'm not running Renegade Sportsman this weekend. I'd originally planned to. I'm not running them this weekend. I got to figure out what to do with you guys. had a couple text messages, had a couple text conversations that I need to continue that I haven't, I've left them on not opened. The last message there from the last race, talking about, taking the Mid-East street stocks out, or, adding weight to them guys or whatever. And, there's no easy solution. I'm doing whatever I can to get the most amount of cars there. At the end of the day, you guys have just got to decide, hey, we're racing. You know what I mean? We are racing.
Yep. You just got to load your cars and say, you know what? We're going to the track.
Yep.
The little BullRing has shown, leaps and bounds of.
Yeah.
I mean, she's really come to life.
Yeah.
I mean, and she is electric.
Yep. No, I agree. For sure. Speaking of electric, got some sponsorship in place during that 2,000 to win race. Going to go 10K. I think we're looking at Thanksgiving weekend. So if you want to try to plan for it, that is what I believe is going to happen is Thanksgiving weekend. That'll be a good time for it. Nobody else.
Where are we going to put them?
Really, that is something we'll figure out between now and Thanksgiving. We got some time. It's July, so.
That ain't that far away, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. But anyways, I think it's about all we had for this week. You think of anything else we need to talk about?
I think we're good. I think we've covered just about everything.
Good deal. All right, well, that'll do it for Lucky Episode 13, talking about July 4th and an epic night. We're back in action this Saturday, July the 12th, with the Mid-East Modifieds rolling into town. We've got the late models, Pro 4s, Stock 4s, and Crown Vics. Again, Renegade Sportsman off, trying to figure out what to do with these guys. If you guys have got suggestions, be sure to send them to me. Whether I respond to you or not, I see it. And I'm going to try to respond to you. I get 150, 200 messages a day. I got another business that I'm running. I got, I still get messages from, crap from, Franklin County, and stuff like that. So I've got a lot of stuff going on, and I got a lot of other stuff going on that I can't, even tell you about. But, so if you don't get a message back from me, message me again, and if you don't get a response from me and you don't assume that, we have an agreement on anything, be sure to, hit me back up, call me, text me, hit me on Messenger. If you annoy me enough, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And
what I usually like to do is just call you. If you don't answer, call you again.
Yep,
call you again.
That's right. All right, that'll do it for episode 13. We're out of here. Thanks for listening to the Bullring Banter podcast. We'll be back on here next week.